All right, what's the story here? Okay, so May 1st, 2022, OpenSea does $2.7 billion in transaction volume on their platform. That's after their revenue went up almost 1,000 times between 2020 and 2021. It's pretty impressive. How'd they do it? People have a lot of answers to this question, but I think they often overlook what the real big picture is to this kind of overnight sensation. And that is the fact that OpenSea made it incredibly simple and affordable to create and manage digital assets. These are the digital assets that are trading on OpenSea today. If you walk out in the hallway here, you'll see other digital assets that are for sale. The people behind these assets, they're not technical geniuses. They don't have deep pockets to hire engineers. They're artists, they're musicians. Yet, they can create digital assets that are truly ownable, that are transferable, tradable, auditable, interoperable. All things that today's largest companies who are investing billions of dollars into their own solutions are struggling to replicate. Now, some people think that this is the future. These types of NFTs, these tradable profile pictures, these are going to be the luxury goods of the future of the metaverse. Some people think that it's all BS, it's a bubble, it's going to pop. But wherever you land on that spectrum of how you see these types of digital assets, remember that it's the simplicity, it's the fact that OpenSea was able to lower the bar and make it so that people who had no technical knowledge of blockchain, no tech budget, were able to create a new billion-dollar use case for digital assets. Now, if you were one of those bearish people who thought it was a bubble, so far it's looking good for you. That $2.7 billion of daily volume has collapsed by over 99%. But still, to me, what that says is that OpenSea had the spark, they just didn't have the fuel. At Asset Layer, we want to take that spark and provide the fuel to bring what OpenSea was able to provide to these artists to the entire world of digital assets. Asset Layer, we are providing what we think is both the simplest, most affordable, and also most comprehensive solution for digital assets today. So digital assets, it's kind of a vague term. Are we talking about profile pictures? Are we talking about cryptocurrencies? Really, we're talking about everything. Digital assets, they're so ubiquitous that it's almost easier to understand them by what their function is than by just listing examples. Digital assets, they're owned by enterprises or individuals in order to access, in order to use or track data or functions across applications all around the internet, on your personal devices, in the cloud, everywhere. Digital assets are used by Robinhood to track and manage stocks and other financial instruments on their trading application. They're used by Starbucks to manage memberships and rewards. They're used by Epic Games in all kinds of ways. One of the most notable uses of digital assets for Epic Games is things like skins and other cosmetics in their hit title Fortnite. They're using digital assets to sell billions of dollars of merchandise every year. And now, you might think that because these are everywhere, that we haven't figured out, that they're working really well. They do what we need them to do. But you would be mistaken. Digital assets are laden with all kinds of profound issues. First of all, they're extremely complex and expensive to create and manage. That's why OpenSea's breakthrough was so significant. They lowered the bar dramatically to create digital assets that had these types of functionalities. And even though companies are pouring in billions of dollars, they're struggling with the basics. Things like interoperability are almost non-existent in today's world. And even basics like the ability to transfer your digital asset from one person to the next can be very rare, even in applications where you would think that would be desirable. A good example here is Starbucks. They've said that they want to create a rewards program that they can share with other companies, other retailers, their partners, but they've struggled to do that. It's truly impossible to do with legacy tools. They've turned the blockchain I still don't see a shared rewards program from Starbucks, but maybe we will soon. I think to understand what a solution to this problem would look like, it helps to look at one of the biggest transformations in technology over the past few decades, and that of, I'm sure we're all familiar with this, the move of IT resources to the public cloud. AWS, Azure, SaaS, these have become an absolutely massive industry. And the question is, again, how? Why did they do that? How did that happen? And I think it's the same thing that OpenSea has demonstrated on a small scale, but instead of for digital assets, for IT resources. Not only did AWS and similar services make accessing IT resources simple and affordable, but by centralizing the provision of those resources, not only did they open up new types of efficiencies, but they opened up entirely new ways of creating software products that we've seen manifest in services that we all know and love and could maybe hardly imagine life without, Netflix, Salesforce, and the rest of the SaaS world. That is the same type of transition that we need to see for digital assets. Back in the day, you're managing your own IT resources on your own company campus. You have your own staff, you have to set up your own machines. It's totally self-managed. It's extremely complex, it's extremely expensive, and what you get at the end of that process is not that impressive. Digital assets, yes, that's true. Digital assets, they're in the cloud, they run in SaaS applications, but they still retain that kind of quality of the on-prem IT world. You have to create and manage your own digital asset solution. It's extremely complex and expensive. And what you get at the end of that process often lacks what, I think 10 years from now we'll look back and say, well, how'd you not have that? The way that, we look back 10 years from now and we'd say, Netflix sent you your DVD in the mail? That doesn't make any sense. So, we're at a blockchain conference. Is blockchain the answer? And I think, sort of. OpenSea definitely showed how blockchain made it easier to provide some of these features and lowered the bar to being able to access things like transferability, auditability, interoperability. But blockchain has a lot of drawbacks as well, and we have to recognize that. It's, for one, extremely complicated to build blockchain applications or even to use blockchain applications. It also misses a lot of essential features that would make it business friendly. There's a reason that OpenSea is being used for art and other things like that, but we're not seeing that technology used in a real business context. It's missing things like advanced permissioning. It's missing the ability to, it's very difficult to do things like comply with, a world that's increasingly territorial about things like data. So what I think is needed is a solution that brings and emphasizes the very best qualities of blockchain that can take what OpenSea started and bring in the missing elements that businesses need and strip away all of the baggage that's associated with today's blockchain solutions. And what we've created to do this is a product that we call our digital asset cloud. So the digital asset cloud takes these best parts of blockchain, transferability, auditability, interoperability, and we've tried to supercharge them as much as possible. One of those is how we actually architect our blockchain solution, starting from the blockchain we choose. I'm guessing you might be able to intuit what that might be. And it goes from everything to how do we structure the data within that cloud to make real interoperability possible. It's not enough to just have a token. In order to really work with and use digital assets across applications, there's a whole lot of things that go into solving that type of problem. So not only do we try and emphasize these best elements of blockchain, but we are a highly permissioned system. We use public blockchain, but we bring in a lot of elements that we think make our product a lot more business friendly than either working with blockchain directly or going through a blockchain as a service solution. We think that something that looks like this is what's going to help bring digital assets from this complex, self-directed place that they exist today into a future where there's an out-of-the-box solution that works for business and connects and unifies the world's digital assets. They changed up these slides. So, Robinhood. The problem they face today, it's complex, it's expensive. They're investing a huge amount of money into their own digital asset solution. what can a digital asset cloud provide? It can give them an out-of-the-box option. They can access it through an API. Does it give them everything they need today? Sure, no. But it's the foundation of something that is so much simpler, affordable, and accessible for them that I think the Robinhoods of the future, the amount of money that they're investing into managing digital assets is going to be a tiny, tiny fraction of what the Robinhoods of the past have had to deal with. Starbucks, we talked about Starbucks. What can a company like AssetLayer, a product like the Digital Asset Cloud, provide? By providing a central layer where digital assets can live and that different applications can plug into in a permission fashion, providing that type of shared rewards program becomes extremely simple, where today, using legacy tools, it's totally eluded Starbucks, one of the biggest companies in the world. Epic Games, and this is one of the use cases I'm most excited about. Games, today people are spending $40 billion a year on digital assets within games that are stuck in a single application, and that very often they can't even sell it if they're done with it. It's a very poor user experience, and it's really ripe for disruption. And using a tool like AssetLayer, game developers who are similar to artists in a lot of ways, some game developers, some game studios, they're highly technical, they're doing very cutting edge stuff, but some people are just downloading a program like Unity or Unreal Engine, which is a game engine created by Epic Games, and they're more like artists. They just want to create an experience, and they want to include these types of customizable cosmetics, and they want something that's simple, easy to use, and just works. These are really big companies. We're a small company. We're working up to that, but gaming is where we're started, and we're already delivering these results in the gaming world. Haste Arcade, who you'll hear from soon, they are an arcade that's doing really cool things with micropayments and combining them with hyper-casual gaming titles. Using our API, they were able to build a marketplace and issue their own game collectibles using digital assets in just a few weeks' time. And that's using an old version of our API. It's gotten a lot better. We actually build our own games, and that's a big part of how we've been able to develop this product and understand what are the challenges that a game or another digital asset issuer actually faces. In our game Duradogs, we've issued over 700,000 digital assets that are not only tradable amongst our players, but we've already created other titles, and our community is creating titles that use these same digital assets across multiple applications. This promise of interoperability of game items is coming to fruition in our ecosystem through games like Duradogs. And there's more things as well. We'll hear again soon from Built by Gamers, which is an esports organization that's using digital assets in an entirely different way in the gaming vertical. They are using digital assets to help them actually understand how their fans are interacting with their content. And by gaining a better understanding, they can help drive engagement, grow their already substantial audience of 20 million, and get more lucrative, more exciting brand partnerships by being able to drive engagement through digital assets and through using digital assets to understand how their customers use their applications. Cloud transformed IT, and I think the next decade and a half is going to be incredibly exciting in the world of digital assets. Companies using digital assets today are going to see dramatic cost savings and new exciting use cases that bring whole new life and other dimensions to the digital assets they're already working with. Small companies like ourselves, Haste Arcade, can now access this type of technology and start not only using business models that have been proven to work, but exploring whole new ways of leveraging digital assets in a commercial context. And what I'm most excited for, like it would have been hard prior to the public cloud revolution to understand how this would affect and change the way that software and business is done. I'm extremely excited to see what creative entrepreneurs come up with when we have lowered the bar so dramatically for creating and managing digital assets. I think it's going to be a really exciting decade, and I'm just I feel very fortunate to be a part of it.